Okay, I have a few podcasts for your notes today, so make sure you have your notes out. Today, the lesson is going to be on factoring trinomials where there's a leading coefficient of 1. The lesson is going to include a little bit of review, some new vocabulary, and then how to actually factor a trinomial where the leading coefficient is 1. The first thing we want to do, though, is begin by reviewing the FOIL technique. In the FOIL technique, remember, we use this technique to multiply two binomials. So, for instance, I might have a binomial 2x plus 3, and I want to multiply it by the binomial x minus 2. Okay. Really, the FOIL technique is just a special distributive property. The f in FOIL tells us that we're going to take the first term in each parenthesis and multiply those terms together. So I'm going to take the 2x, I'm going to multiply it by the x to get a product of 2x squared. The O in FOIL represents outer, so I'm going to take the outer terms in each parenthesis and multiply them together. I'm going to take the positive 2x times the negative 2. Positive 2 times negative 2 is negative 4. And since the first term had an x on it, we're going to get negative 4x here. The I represents inner, so I'm going to take positive 3 times positive x and get an answer of positive 3x. And then I'm going to multiply the positive 3 times the negative 2. And positive 3 times negative 2 is negative 6. Combining the like terms negative 4x and positive 3x, I get an answer of 2x squared minus x, negative 4 plus 3 is negative 1x, minus 6. Okay. Our goal today is to be able to factor a trinomial. And by factoring, what we're going to do is we're going to actually begin with a trinomial, and we're going to work backwards so that we take that sum or difference of terms in the trinomial and get a product of two different binomials. Okay, so let's go through some of the vocabulary that we're going to need to do this. The first vocabulary term that I wanted to discuss is leading coefficient. Actually, let's start here. Let's just start with, instead of a leading coefficient, let's just start with the word coefficient. Just a review vocabulary term. So coefficients. Okay. Coefficients are the numbers that are in front of a variable. Okay. Wow, this is neat. In front of a variable. Someday I will figure out this pen. Okay. So coefficients are the numbers in front of the variable. If we want to look at what the coefficients are in this trinomial, the coefficients are 2, the number in front of the variable term x squared, 1, actually a negative 1, since we have this negative sign here. We don't need to show the 1 in front of the x, but technically there is one. Those are your two coefficients. Negative 6 is not a coefficient. Negative 6 is actually what we call a constant term. It's not changing because there's no variable attached to it, so we don't consider that a coefficient. The first term I really want to talk about, though, was the leading coefficient. The leading coefficient is the number that is in front of the variable that has the highest degree, or the highest exponent power. The leading coefficient in our trinomial 2x squared minus x minus 6 is the 2, because it's in front of the x squared term, and x squared is the highest power. So our leading coefficient is 2. We're going to need to use that when we factor trinomials. I'm going to shut this podcast down, and we'll get into the next one with a little bit more vocabulary.